We come now to verse 60 of the 6th chapter of the Gospel of John. We've wrapped up the Bread of Life discourse. We're now dealing with the aftermath of it, the effect on those who heard it, their assessment of its meaning and their willingness to embrace it. And of course, the first discussion we run into concerns those who find it too hard. They just simply can't accept, they can't embrace, they can't understand the harsh things that Jesus is saying, especially concerning notions like eating his flesh and drinking his blood. They can't make heads or tails out of it. And so we find this initial negative reaction expressed here at verse 60. Poloi, this is the word that means many. Of course, we have words in English, poly, various words that have that as a prefix, meaning many. Polytheism, for example, many gods. Poloi here means many. It's the masculine plural, nominative, many, postpositive, therefore many, akusantes, aorist active participle, masculine plural, nominative, so referring back to the many, having heard, referring to action taking place preceding the leading verb, which is apon down here, so therefore many having heard. And then the many refers over here to of the disciples. Ek, the preposition, takes the genitive tone. The genitive, plural, masculine, many of the mapheton, genitive plural, disciples, mathetes, out to, many of the disciples of him, having heard. Apon, these many then say, this is the leading verb, third person plural, aorist active indicative. It's actually second aorist, but sometimes we'll use that first aorist ending as we find it here. So many of those of his disciples having heard said, skleros. Of course, the word skleros means hard. Sclerosis of the arteries, for example, a hardening of the arteries is the idea. We get that word from Greek. So skleros, hard. Esten, third person singular, present active indicative of a, me. Hard is, ho, the masculine singular nominative article, the logos, the noun word. Hard is the word, hutos, esten, this word. Hutos could have gone before, so you might have hutos hologos or hologos hutos, either one. There's no real difference in the sense of them, it's just stylistic. So hard is this word, and then tis, interrogative pronoun, who, dunatai, from dunamai, I am able, third person singular, present active indicative, who is able, out to it, referring to the word here, who is able, akuein, the present active infinitive, to hear, from akuo, who is able to hear it, who is able to accept it, to hear it in the sense of to embrace it. Some have speculated that the reaction may be not simply to the apparently cannibalistic description Jesus gives of eating his flesh and drinking his blood, but maybe it's actually referring to the sense in which they gather from this, that this is Jesus identifying himself with a paschal lamb which was eaten, suggesting that Jesus himself was going to have to be that paschal lamb, was going to have to die. And they found that rather unacceptable with respect to their conceptions of what the Messiah would actually do and be. That may be the case. There may be some who saw it that way. I rather think that they're simply reacting to the harshness of the words, the rather offensive content of them, especially from a Jewish point of view. Either way, of course, the point is that many of these who had been following him, not the 12 disciples, of course, but many of the broader group of disciples who had been in his presence, in his wake, as it were, are finding this too hard to accept, and we find that they're going to begin drifting away as a result of this Bread of Life discourse that they have just heard.